Good morning. As you guys come on, drop in the comments where you're watching from. If you're watching live, comment live. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. And if you would do me a quick favor, hit share. And let's see if we can inspire some people today. I don't think you need my Wi-Fi password there in the picture. Anyway, I'm super excited to share with all of you guys. This has been one of the most incredible weeks of my life and something that I had procrastinated for a really long time. And I am excited to share with you guys a lot of things happening. We live in a very crazy world right now. How many of you could agree you've had some crazy things happen in your life in the last maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, maybe even the last year or two? It's been crazy times, right? And it's funny how we can compare what we're going through to other people, how we can let our emotions make us jump to conclusions of what we think is happening or what might be happening. And I've been watching a lot of people's, I would say, reactions to the current times, the economy, change in business, change in relationship, price of gas, even politics. Like, there's just so much crazy. I mean, maybe some of you are like, oh, not me. My life's normal and calm. But if your life is crazy, just drop in the comments crazy with an exclamation. And I'll tell you, it's trauma, it's crisis, it's sickness, it's stress, it's finances, it's relationships, like all across the board. I just see people. My son is a fashion designer, and probably 4 or 5 years ago, my daughter, she was in a crazy time and she designed one of his designs, and his shirt that literally blew up. There was a lot of influencers that he was working with. Kevin Hines, who jumped from the Golden Gate Bridge to commit suicide and lived to tell it today, changes lives all over the world, speaking in schools. One of my favorites, Michael DeLeon, spent a decade in and out of prison, had murders in his family, his child's life in danger, with a horrible opiate addiction. Today, changing lives all across the world, speaking in schools with a nonprofit called Steered Straight. I have never had anything that bad happen in my life. But it's been financial challenges or business challenges or growing up in a broken home, or a loved one battling cancer, a loved one taking their life, not just one generation, but two generations. My dad lost his only brother to suicide. My husband lost his only brother to suicide. And I journal a lot. I write a lot. I speak a lot. I pray a lot. And over the years, I've always wondered, and this is the big question, and I don't know if you think it is or it isn't, are generational curses real or imagined? Because after so much, sometimes we want to look in the mirror and go, okay, God, what did I do? How many of you have ever had something happen where you're like, okay, God, what did I do to deserve this? Break the curse. Like, I repent. What did I do? And, I do fear God. Not everybody does, but I will tell you, what I have found is that little people with little purpose have little problems. Mediocre people with mediocre purpose have mediocre problems. But big people with big purpose and big passion have big problems, right? And that's how God uses those people. He uses you. And the only reason, believe it or not, the only reason you're on this planet walking around breathing right now, the only reason, and I don't want to hurt your feelings, the only reason is to witness and love. Witness and love. And then you're going to leave, and your life is going to be a general consensus of, did you witness, did you love? That's it. Nothing else matters. Not your Rolex, not your Timex, not your Mercedes, not your Hyundai, not your mansion, not your little log cabin. None of it matters. People who are miserable people will be miserable in a little house with no air conditioning or heat or running water. And if you put them in a mansion, they'll be the same miserable people, just magnify the miserable, right? So my life mission has always been helping people. I love to help people almost to a fault. I love helping the underdog win. I love making people happy. And this week on Monday, well, I was at my daughter's store last Sunday and I miss her so bad. She's in Germany. And I stole these 2 books. I said, Callie, these 2 books, I took them from your store. You're not going to be there for a year. And I brought them to the lake house because if people come and stay at our lake house, these books might inspire them like they inspired us. And Callie goes, I said, but I wrote in here to you. I wrote in here to you and Darian. And she goes, Mom, what's funny is I'm the one that told you about that book. And then for some reason you bought it and you thought it was so good. You bought us all a copy of the book. And I already had a copy of the book. So I left it in my store because I thought it could inspire the girl that works in my store. She's a single mom. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So now I realize we all have the same ability to plant a seed, grow from the seed, have a testimony from the seed, replant the seed. Like that's all we're doing, like a bunch of honeybees, right? We're just cross-pollinating all over this round ball that's spinning, that has the sun, that has the moon, that has the stars. And we think everything that happens to us or for us or against us is a really big deal until you remove yourself like the honeybee or like a butterfly or like one of those stars looking down and you really see how big this world is, and you realize that your midlife crisis, your high school crisis, your college age crisis, really, you guys, the question is 100 years from now, will it matter? And if the answer is no, stop worrying about it, right? I see Darian on all the way from Germany. Hi, Darian, we love you too. Good luck at your game today. So I have had a revelation this week, and it had to do with prayer. So if you're not a Christian and you're going to be offended by this, please leave the broadcast. I don't need the hate. But this is just my story I'm going to share with you guys today. And maybe you don't leave the broadcast and you keep listening because I think you might get something from this. So Dave has been doing this genealogy app and tracing all the way back to his grandma and great grandma and great great grandma and great 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 grandma who were Indians, and their last name, grandma's last name, was Rainbolt. And here in Oklahoma, where we have our lake home, not far from here, all of these ancestors are buried, and all of their records were burned when a courthouse was burned down here in Oklahoma, and all birth certificates and everything disappeared. Well, Dave didn't tell me until last night that he's like traced it back 4 times. And I'm like, did you tell your mom? Did you tell your dad? He's like, no, I'm just telling you. He's like, but it's so interesting. And it pulled up on ancestry.com a picture of all of us at Grandma and Grandpa Pitcock's 50th anniversary when Brooklyn was 6 months old. And I will tell you, when she was 6 months old, I was getting ready that morning for this anniversary party, and I have natural curly hair. It's still wet today, and I don't have a blow dryer here, which is why it's fuzzball, but I have to straighten it for hours. And I have a straightener that gets really, really hot, so it gets all the kinky frizzies out. And that morning we were getting ready, and we lived in a little rental house, and I was straightening my hair, and little Brooklyn could barely crawl. And she reached up and she pulled on the curling iron and it fell on her leg. And I wasn't in the room at the time. I went to get dressed. And it laid on her leg and it burned her leg. And she still has a scar today. And as a mom, I felt like the worst mom. She had 3rd-degree burns. She was learning to crawl. It hurt when she moved. It rubbed her diaper. And yet we had to go to the 50th anniversary that day after emergency room with Silvadene and gauze and whatever on it. But there was that picture last night. And I was like, oh my gosh, Dave, that was 28, 29 years ago. And this picture is on the internet. And Dave goes, look at us. We were so young. You know, we were so young and she was just a baby. And it's crazy because I hadn't thought about that scar or that incident for a really long time until I saw it last night. That day was one of the worst days of my life. I was a bad mom. Me and Dave were at each other because why did you let this fall? You know, like all the stuff. But 29 years later, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But that day was life or death, trauma, having a meltdown, right? I was looking at my grandma's picture last Monday night on my mom's side. And it's crazy because Dave's grandma, Betty Pitcock, worked at the hospital in Russell, Kansas with my grandma, Edna Mills. And they both worked in the kitchen. And Dave and I weren't even born yet. Can you imagine? We weren't even born yet. Our grandmas were young grandmas. They were talking about their kids. They were both incredibly active in the Baptist church, very staunch Christians, right? Raised by grandmas. Both of us spent a lot of time with our grandmas, but I was raised a lot by my grandma. And a lot of their principles passed on to us, but Dave and I didn't even know each other yet, right? I want you guys to think about this in the grand scheme of things. 100 years later, what matters, right? We were looking at Dave's grandma on the Rainbolt side, tracing these people clear back to 1808. Can you imagine? 1808. What do you think their problems were back then? 1808, grandma and grandpa, and then next, and grandpa's name was Arthur, and then they had a son named Arthur, and then they had a son named John, and then John married a Cindy who was a Dumbler, and Lana Mills married a Terry who was a Zorn, and then Dave and Barb Pitcock weren't even on the drawing board yet, 100 years ago, but things started to happen. Segments, right? And we all have ancestry we could trace. We all have a past that we could trace. Well, my mom and her brother came to Oklahoma a couple months ago. They actually went on a lake trip, and they decided they were going to get their Indian cards because they have Indian heritage. And so my mom's brother, hey, Callie Pitcock, I don't know what time it is in Germany. She's saying Guten Morgen to me, but it is it was 3:16. That is our number, 3:16 in Germany. Wowza. So long story short, moral of my story is if it's not going to matter 100 years from now, it probably shouldn't matter today. But we think everything is life or death, don't we? I help a lot of people outside of my network marketing industry. I really believe my purpose is just inspiring and helping people. And I'm going to do that on a much, much bigger level. If I had 2 lives, if I was 25 and I could start over again, I would start a church. And it wouldn't be a church that's a denomination. It would be a church for sinners. It'd be a church for everybody. And I would just bring people in who were completely broken that had a testimony to share to help fix all the people that are completely broken, because everybody is broken. Everybody is broken. And Monday night, I left the lake. I was driving home. It's about a 7-hour drive. And on the way home, I stopped at Dave's mom's sister's. And I will tell you guys, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I needed to unplug and focus on prayer. And I'm not a perfect Christian, and I'm not a Bible scholar, but I was broken. And it was just so many things that aren't even happening, but what the mind imagines could happen. A sickness in our family, a diagnosis that to me was like life or death. And people around me are like, why are you freaking out this way? And, someone said to me, I really think you need to go and pray, because just because you lost your grandma, your grandpa, your mother-in-law's husband, your great grandpa, your aunt Shirley, like I could go on and on and on, to a certain disease, doesn't mean that you're going to lose everybody to that disease, right? And this person that loves me said, I want you to go and I want you to pray about something. And I want you to let go of what happened when you were 12. I was like, okay, well, the fact my grandma died of cancer has nothing to do with what's happening today, right? And it was enlightening, you guys. I went to Aunt Judy's house, and she's made it her life mission to just study prayer, generational curses, blessings, the mind, the devil, she's a scholar. She's studied it all, and very non-judgmental, right? So I went there, and I thought it was just going to be me and her. And then it was me and her and Dave's cousin, who's incredible. I don't know her as well. I mean, we see each other at Christmas and stuff, but it's not like we're real close, a distant cousin. But I went in, and it was crazy. I had Callie's little bulldog with me, and they have They had a German Shepherd and 2 Pomeranians, and the dogs were barking, and the bulldog was panting, and he wanted to go hump the girl dog, and I was trying to put him in a kennel, and then he needed water, and the whole time I was like, okay, how are we even going to focus? And do you know what the focus was? Let's talk. Let's talk. It wasn't some big seance. It wasn't some big speaking in tongues and laying on hands and all the crazy things that you think when you need healing or you need scripture or you need prayer. But I needed prayer for everything. I needed prayer for health, for peace, for my business, for my leaders in my business, for my mother-in-law, for my children, for my grandkids, for my mom, for my dad, for my own self, for Dave, for the pets. Like, I needed it for everybody, right? And I just sat down and we talked for hours. And I would encourage all of you, if you ever have a chance to really get with someone that has a really strong faith, Maxandra de Rosier is one for me. Ken Murray is another one. Pastor Kyle Ormoyan was huge in my life with my kids growing up. There are a lot of people that are just really good prayer warriors. And what Aunt Judy did, she said, tell me things that you remember. And we did a walk through my entire life. And do you guys know, there was not one person that I hadn't forgiven. She was mostly worried that I had to forgive. And it's been an incredible week. And I will tell you, she said, have you forgiven this person? Have you forgiven that person? Have you forgiven this person? She went all the way back to when my grandma passed away and I was 12. And this was on Monday. And I would have to look what the date was on Monday. I believe it was October the 10th. I'm not 100% sure. But that day, I will never forget, because I drove home after we went through everything. She went back to my childhood, abuse, suicide, cancer deaths, bankruptcies, having my name creamed on the internet or in a newspaper in our hometown, my children being born, almost dying with my firstborn, living through that, losing my best friend that I had walked with through the whole pregnancy, to a disease that I later got a week later. Same disease. My baby lived. She did not live. Her baby lived. Then I lived. It was insane, all the chapters that Aunt Judy uncovered. And what she said is, and this is why I think everyone should go through this deliverance, they called it, is that when things happen in your life, personality disconnects happen. And I learned something so crazy about myself. So when I was 12 and my grandmother passed away, my mom and dad had lots of businesses: a Sonic drive-in, Natoma Foods grocery store, a dairy distribution company, goats, pigs, cows, and horses galore, lots of chickens and pygmies and guineas, and I don't know what all they had, quail. Like, we had a full-on farm. My parents had 2 semis, a dairy distribution business. They had contracts with every school and every restaurant, the Dairy Queens, the Sonics, the fried pickles, the French fries, the cream for the ice cream. They were in charge. If they ran out, the restaurant ran out. If the restaurant ran out, the people didn't get any food. And so I can remember there would be a blizzard and we would have our snowmobiles with milk crates on skids, pulling them in a blizzard with the I-70 shut down to make sure that Merity's restaurant or Boot Hill Cafe or, Dairy Queen, everybody had their cream, their milk, their butter, their everything. I mean, my parents kept it going. They kept everything going. But they had 5 kids and there was nobody there to keep them going. And when my grandmother died and I was 12, my sister Lori and I were keeping it going. I was telling Dave yesterday, I remember one day I wasn't old enough to drive and I got in a big Lincoln Mark V with the big hump on the back my mom had, and it said Zorn on the plate. I still remember. I wasn't old enough to drive, but we also owned the RV park, the campground, and I needed to get out there to open the putt-putt golf course. And my mom and dad were not back from their milk route on their semis, and there was no cell phones. And I was loading up the kids to take the back roads to get to the campground to check in the campers and open up the putt-putt golf. True story. I put my little sister Tracy in the Kangaroo. I set her on the back of the trunk. I put all the kids in the back seat. I was getting them buckled in, and I backed out, and in my rearview mirror, I saw the baby carrier on the back. I'm not kidding. Tracy was literally on the back of the car, and I was about to drive. It was mayhem when I was growing up. And when people say, Barb, you just have so much going, you just have so much going. You guys, I was born, I cut my teeth with so much going. It's the way I tick. I don't have it all together, but together I've got it all, right? I remember having so much responsibility at the age of 12 that the pieces that Dave's Aunt Judy put back together is that at age 12, I knew if I didn't take care of everyone and my dad got home, I would get my ass beat. I made the socks. I cooked the meals. I cleaned the dishes. And my mom is a saint. This woman is the greatest woman on the planet. But I'm telling you, what my mom was going through in her marriage with my dad, what my dad was going through in his life after losing his only brother to suicide, and his mom remarried, and that guy was abusive, and there was 4 stepchildren, and then his mom had a baby that was my age. And like, I look back on this entire trauma that was happening in so many people's lives, and my mom losing her mom when I was 12. And I had no idea that at that age, there would be this personality click. It's like a split. It's like a split that happens when you're a little 12-year-old girl, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden, you're not that 12-year-old girl anymore. And what Aunt Judy uncovered about me is that if I don't take care of everyone, I can't breathe. I literally cannot breathe. If someone is upset with me, and my family has known this forever, if someone is upset with me, I can't breathe. If someone doesn't love me, if someone doesn't feel like I did, like my kids will say, Mom, I can get my own plate. And I have like the last omelet, right? And I'll be like, no, take mine. And Kelly will be like, why are you giving someone else your food? And it's been this way their entire life, right? So we all have personality splits that happen during our life that make us the way we are. You know, I didn't know that Monday was my grandmother's birthday. My grandmother was the one that right before she died, I was about 10, took me to Good News Club at Marsana Reynolds' basement. And I got on my knees and prayed and asked the Lord to come into my heart, forgive me of my sins, and I wanted to make him my Lord and Savior. It was the first time I really started wearing makeup or mascara. And I remember the most traumatic thing for me during the baptism in front of everyone at church, where they dunk you underwater and bring you back up, is that I had freckles that I was trying to cover up with makeup, and mascara was running down my face, right? You had these beautiful little blondes and these girls with the dark skin and the gorgeous ebony hair. I was bucktooth, redhead, freckle face, fair skinned, ugly little girl. And I knew that because I was told that a lot. And that personality split went from this confident, happy little girl who grandma took care of every day to this broken 12-year-old girl that was striving for affection in a world that was broken, with 2 parents that were becoming distant, with so many temptations that the devil, I'm going to tell you what happens. You open the door a little bit, just a little bit, and he's coming in the house and rage the place. And at the age of 12, I had a lot of demons to deal with. Sex at the age of 12, sneaking out of my window at the age of 12, trying to be a popular girl at the age of 12, because my mom and dad were gone all day and I was the mama. And then at night, I was like, how do I fit in? And I want to tell you guys what everybody wants. This is what every single one of us wants. I don't care if you're in my business, you quit my business, you love me, you hate me, you buy from me, you write horrible things about me. I don't care. Do you know what we all really, really want? What we really want is to just feel good. We just want to feel good. People do whatever they have to do to just feel good. It's why people abuse, because it's the only way they can get it out to where they feel good. It's why people run away. It's why people drink. It's why people use. It's why people have sex with multiple people. It's why people steal. It's why people are serial killers. Like, they're just trying to get this energy out and to get back to this state where they feel good. So how do you change your state? How do you get what you want? How do you get to feel good when everything around you might seem to be falling apart? You want to know that you are going to have food and shelter. I think it's an instinct to protect our families. And when money goes down and you worry about security, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have food and shelter and take care of my kids. You freak out, right? When someone betrays you, and you've been betrayed as a child, and all of a sudden you feel like you're going to be abandoned, you're going to freak out. When someone says something to you that you feel is abusive and you've been abused, you're going to freak out. When you think something is missing and someone has stolen from you before, or you've had your house robbed like I've had. You know, it's weird. Last Saturday, I pulled into the driveway of a property we bought. There was a girl coming out of the shed. There's nothing good in the shed. She said she was looking for rocks. I freaked out. Why? Now I feel so bad. I wish I could give her all the rocks. Maybe that was her grandma's house. I don't even want the rocks. I need them all cleaned out so I can do some beautiful landscaping, not all the painted rocks. And I freaked out because I've been robbed before, because our house was robbed last April. And it feels weird to go back into a house when you have seen people in a black mask and a black suit banging on your back door with a hammer, breaking the glass, taking all of your stuff and running away on video. It isn't even what's happening right now, you guys. It's what's happened in your past that makes you freak the frick out. So how do you change your state to get what you really want? What do people really, really, really want? If I asked you all right now, what do you really, really want? Oh, Lindsay, I love that. That was my grandma too. So what I think people really, really want, they don't know. And when they do say what they really, really want, it's not the truth. I don't think most of you even know what you really, really want. Some people would say, I want more money. Some people would say, I want to be more successful. Some people would say, I want a relationship. Some people would say, I want my business or to start a business or for my business to grow. Some people would say, I want to be thinner. I want to get my hair extensions. I want to get a facial treatment done, whether it's Botox or your nose or your lips or whatever. Like, we all think we want something that's going to make it better. You know what we really want? We want to feel good. We just want to feel good. And we want to be loved. So Tony Robbins talks about a young girl. And it was crazy because I want to tell you about a young girl. Tony Robbins tells the story of Oprah. And I wrote these notes down because he said, Oprah, listen to this, you guys. I shouldn't have told you it was Oprah. There was a lady whose father left her at the age of 14. She was raised by a child, her mom, which you would think would be concerning. That mom became overwhelmed, left the child with the grandma at 13. The child was abused 3 or 4 times sexually and followed exactly the same footsteps of her mother. Got pregnant at 13. Had the baby arrived, it's stillborn. You've got a kid that is crazy, out of control. They take her to an institution. She's in the institution, and a man comes there and claims that he is her father, takes her out of the institution. Now, you would think this woman's gloom and doom, probably going to have some character flaws. Oprah Winfrey goes on to change the world, right? So I started by telling you that we're tracing ancestry. My mom and my uncle have been tracing my grandma. They went to get her birth certificate, and the name on her birth certificate is not my grandpa Eifert, who was blind, who lived upstairs, who she took care of her entire life. He couldn't see at all. He had a cane. He lived upstairs of my grandma's house. I lived upstairs of my grandma's house. She had a boarding house with 13 rooms. I had room 3. And my grandpa had a woodworking studio up there. And growing up as a little girl, I remember my grandpa hammering every day. He made cabinetry for the biggest attorney in our town. He made laundry hampers that pulled out. He was like the first person to make that laundry hamper that you pull out and it goes at a slant. I had never seen one of those before. He made birdhouses that had all the little tiny, tiny little details, just little doors that they could open and chimneys and hearts. And he cut them all out with an electric jigsaw and he couldn't see. If he would have slipped, he would have cut his finger off. Fascinating man. My great grandpa, grandma's dad, Grandpa Eifert. I find out this week that's not her dad. Her dad disappeared, and she was like, my great grandma, Minnie, had her when she was like 14. And I'm listening to this story. My mom's telling me, she's like, well, your Uncle Frank's looking up her real dad, and he seems to have a pretty good family, and they're up in Nebraska or Iowa. I'm hearing this whole story. I'm like, what? I'm thinking of that t-shirt Callie made with Chance that had the scribble head on it, right? Like, it's just craziness. But my grandma changed so many people's lives. When she died, they could not fit everyone in the church. People were standing outside on the sidewalks. They had speakers going out there. I will never forget it. I was 12. I thought I was dying. I had never, ever mourned the loss of someone. And I remember that day, people bringing their Bibles and even their suit jackets and saying, your grandma gave me this jacket because she bought it at Banker's dress store. And she said she thought it would look great on me. Your grandma did this, your grandma did that. She gave me this Bible, your grandma. And my same grandma was the one who helped me do that number one thing in my life. And I think in all of our lives, pray that prayer for salvation. And I want to tell you guys what happened was crazy. It was crazy. I drove home Monday, got a lot happening in my life. Not just my business being busy, not just the stores, not just just our family. If we had no business at all, there's a lot happening. And I drove home that day and I went to my daughter's house. And I don't see my oldest daughter a lot. And she got in the car and it was the most amazing thing. We prayed out loud for 3 hours. And it's something that I thought could have never happened. And it happened. And Maxandra, our family's life coach, said, oh, your kids have all accepted Christ. Like you're a believer, they're a believer, whatever. But sometimes you just feel like the enemy is coming after everything you've got. Everything you've got. I want to tell you guys something. He is every day. That is his job, to destroy and kill and destroy and kill. That's the only thing the devil is going to do. That's the only thing the enemy needs to do every day. If you let him in an inch, you even crack the door, he's going to get in a little further, a little further, a little further. And it's what we call spiritual warfare. Monday night, I had the most amazing night. It's unfortunate circumstances. It's a lot of stuff, but I was so grateful and so thankful and so happy. I can't even tell you how happy. I just sat there and prayed and cried, and I just knew this person that I'm holding in my arms is going to have two things. They are loved and they are needed. They are loved, they are needed, they are forgiven, no matter what. And I know that big problems means God's going to do big things. People with little problems, they don't have a lot of impact in the world, right? So I got home that night and I crawled into bed. And I got to tell you guys, if you've ever felt that you just had the Holy Spirit, I felt it. And I hadn't felt that way for a really long time. And I crawled into bed at midnight. My husband was like, I'm glad you're finally home. He's watching me on the cameras. He's like, I thought you were never going to make it home. And it had been the longest day. I was completely unplugged from social media, business, phone calls, everything. And I looked on Facebook and a picture of my grandma popped up. And my mom's brother said, happy birthday to my mom. She would have been 99 today. And I just knew that I knew that there was a spiritual guide over all of my family that day. And it was it real or was it imagined? It was my mind. Cindy described it, how she felt after she went through something like this, like she was wrapped in bubble wrap. And I don't care what you guys believe, but when you just feel like everything's going to be okay, you're literally take your arms like this, put them around you like this and say, I'm going to be okay. Like you're wrapped in bubble wrap. because there is this cushion around you of protection and favor and honor and forgiveness and love and adoration. Like, there is nothing that you have done that will ever not be forgiven. It's all gone. It's all gone right now, like immediately, the minute that you just ask. And you know, Dave and I have had a lot happen. In fact, people will say, you and Dave have been through more in the last 5 to 7 years than most families of 10 could all combine on a sheet. And I heard one of my mentors, not a Christian mentor, but a business mentor. I mean, I know he's a Christian, but his branding is my industry yesterday. He said, you know what? Little bitty problems, little bitty people. I used to be a waiter, and there's nothing wrong with being a waiter. I used to be a waiter. He used to be a waiter. He said, when you're a waiter, you're worried that the people are going to be mad about their food. You're worried you gave them Coke and it was supposed to be Diet Coke. You're worried about your tip. You're worried about your schedule. You're worried about your dumb, stupid boss being mad, right? He said, little problems, little people, little purpose, little business, little income, little dreams, right? He said, big dreams, big purpose, bigger people, bigger problems. And God is going to use you based on one thing: your story, your testimony, and how you witness about that. So every day when the non-Jesus side wants to come out of me, and it happens a lot, and I think I am going to throat punch this person, or I am going to go get even with this person, or why would that lady do something so dumb like that? You know, yesterday Dave and I are driving in traffic, and it's 2-lane, and it's construction, and we're stopped, and then people finally get out of the construction. And even Monday when I was driving home by myself on these 2-lane roads for 7 hours, a guy so mad behind me that I can't go, he gets so mad he floors it going 100, pulls out around me. There's 3 semis I couldn't pass. He has 3 semis to pass, and there is a car coming, and he takes the ditch on the opposite side of her with oncoming traffic. And I'm watching this whole thing unveil. And if I would have even hit my brakes and shot, the people behind me would have plowed into me. And you know, while I'm praying for a miracle to happen, the miracle is I was protected that day all the way home. While I'm praying for a miracle to happen and I don't have patience, sometimes the Lord is saying, what's happening right now is muscle is being built. Because Michael DeLeon wouldn't be teaching in schools if he hadn't had 10 years in prison. And Steered Straight wouldn't be happening in schools if, you know, you hadn't had some guy that said, I think I'm going to take my life today and jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And then Kevin Hines lived to tell the story. And you have problems, and I have problems, and everybody else has problems. But at the end of this life, the only questions: what'd you do with your time? What'd you do with your talent? What'd you do with the money I blessed you with? Those are the treasures. And what did you do about the story of salvation? And you guys, when I think about this, I know that right now I am building muscle. God is going to do big shit with me. I am telling you, big stuff, right? So I go home Tuesday night. Monday night was great. Tuesday night was horrible. And I go home, and my niece is with me. She's like, Barb, there's no way one person can field as much as you're doing on this phone. You can't drive, you can't think, you can't order lunch, you can't keep up. She's like, throw your phone in the river, right? So I went home and I ran a bath and I put my phone on silent and I sat down, and a friend of mine who I barely know messages me and says, can you talk? And I'm messaging her because I can't talk. I'm in the bathtub. And she says, I'm crying so hard I cannot read your messages. Can you talk? And all of a sudden I'm getting a video messenger call, and I'm in the bathtub. And my husband is like, are you even going to answer me? It's been 2 hours. And my son is like, Lola wants to FaceTime you. And my daughter calls me crying. And I'm on the phone with this friend that I just met. And the phone is literally blowing up, you guys. It's mayhem. And at the same time, one of my top leaders, just 2 hours before that, is very perplexed and needs a call, you know, because of something. And with all of this noise happening, not my family, not anyone else, I take the call, and it's someone whose daughter is literally facing a life sentence in prison because of something that just happened. And I want to tell you guys something. God loves that girl that could be facing 20 to life just as much as he loves the perfect children. And he will do more with the girl and the mom than he can ever do with someone who's never had to build muscle. You can't do big things if you don't have something that you're getting out of your comfort zone, that you're facing, that you're doing, that you know this is not good right now, but it's going to be good. And that's how he uses us, you guys. And I'm not going to share any names, because when someone calls me, it's 100% confidential. And I never, ever share with anyone else. And this morning, 30 minutes before this call, I got a message from a huge influencer in the industry. Huge. She's not in my company. She's made lots of money. She's got a huge following. And I met her in November at an Al-Anon Zoom. And this morning she called me, world falling apart. You wouldn't believe it, Barb. You wouldn't believe it. It's this, it's this, it's this, it's that. And I said, you know what, honey? It's an epidemic happening all around us. And because it's happening and we're going to get through it, we're going to do really big SHIT, because you're bad at, you're a badass is what I said to her. You're not bad. You're a badass because you had to grow this muscle. Like, people who grow up, my kids grew up, had a great life. I provided a lot for them. I did teach them a work ethic. I did teach them to set goals. I did teach them to go do their own stuff. And you know what? They had to build muscle. One day my coach said to me, Barb, do you think when you and Dave were losing everything and going through a bankruptcy, your parents were probably freaking out? I said, yes, I'm sure they were. She said, don't you think your kids are going to have to build some muscle if they're going to do really big things like you? We can't pray for life to be easier. We can't pray for life to be perfect. We have to pray that we're going to be stronger, have the wisdom, the strength, the courage, the tenacity, the perseverance to keep going. And most importantly, you guys, the faith that it's going to be okay. Because the people that react and freak out, like I do, I am guilty of this. The people that have anger, the people that have fear, the people that have a meltdown and a sob fest and all of these things that happen, it happens because we're losing our faith that it's all going to be okay. And we're losing our faith that we are going to have what we need and be loved. And you know what, guys? Everybody has different needs. I learned about myself this week that my need since I was 12 years old was that you all are going to be okay. And it's sad that I will lose my sleep, my money, my credibility, I will lose everything sometimes to make sure that everyone else is okay. And that day, for 4 hours, what Aunt Judy really prayed for is that she could put my personality back together, that I could function and be okay, even if everybody else wasn't okay. And I don't know what your dysfunction is. I mean, we used to laugh and say that we were going to create a greeting card line called the Dysfunction Junction, because Dave and I would go to look for Father's Day cards, and all of them were like, you're the greatest father. You were always there for me. Everything is wonderful. And then we would go to look for, a sympathy card, and it would be stupid shit like they're in a better place now and blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't give that to someone who just lost someone to suicide. And you can't get a Father's Day card for someone that maybe you wish you could be back close together again with, right? Just all the things, you guys. We live in a broken world with broken people. And I don't think there's any way any of us are getting out of here alive. We are going to have to learn to surrender. I've been doing a great series, a great series. And it's all about living a life of surrender. And yesterday, Dave started his original book, and we drove for 7 hours and we listened to that, The Untethered Soul. Amazing. And all I can say to you guys is I fixed myself. And the trauma is going to continue to happen every day that we're breathing. And the hurt is going to continue to happen every day that we're on this planet. And the fear, it's going to be there. And the hurt feelings and the bad business decisions and your work problems and your office problems and your financial problems and even your health problems and even cancer, it's not going away. How we react to things that we are dealt is the most important thing. And what this series has really helped me to do is to be able to surrender it and to have faith that even when bad things are happening, whether it's to your kids, your mom, your dad, your mother-in-law, your spouse, whatever, that honestly, the Lord knew before they were born that these things were going to happen, and it would be their purpose and your purpose. And I want to tell you guys, I make mistakes every single day. I'm good at a few things, and I am the hot mess express, but I'm really good at what I do. And I'm not going to do it like you're going to do it. And I'm not wired like you're wired, because you didn't grow up in the home I grew up in, and you didn't have the life experiences that I had. But guess what? I love you even if you're mean. I love you even if you're analytical and OCD. I love you even if you're an addict. I love you even if you wait till 10:30 at night to blow up my phone because you've had 5 drinks and now you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Like, I love you even if I didn't get to see you on my birthday and Mother's Day and Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving and, you know, things like this that happen, and the way we react, you guys, it literally tears families and businesses apart. It's not what happens, it's how we react. And if I could teach you anything, it is to stop, to relax, and to release before you react. Thursday morning, Dave and I had a very important appointment with someone, and that person was not willing to go to the appointment. And we could have flipped the freak out like we do often when there's uncontrollables. But I was so proud of my husband because he got out of the car and started to walk home 10 miles, and he did not raise his voice. He did not get upset. He was all love all the time in a very unfortunate situation. And I want to tell you guys something. It's not unfortunate. That's my belief. It's not even a bad thing. That's my reaction based on things that happened in the past that aren't even happening right now. Because we all have things that come up when we're under pressure. You're going to be under pressure if you're going to do anything good. My good friend today, who I admire so much, I cannot wait to call her today. She had a very traumatic night last night. And do you know what I said to her? Us moms, us businesswomen, us people that care about other people, we are going to do big, big things to help people that are going through the very thing that we're going through right now. Do you want to know why? God is only allowing it so that he can use us. And when he gives us a gift and he gives us an experience and we build muscle, it is for one reason. It is only to witness and help other people. So I don't care what you're going through. It's what you're going through. And to you, it's way bigger than what I'm going through. I do care. Don't take that wrong. What I'm saying to you, it's happening to build muscle so that you can do bigger things with bigger people and encounter bigger problems to make a bigger impact with a bigger purpose than you ever thought possible. And I've had this dream down here for so long that I always resist. Like, oh, you can't do that. You don't have enough life left to do that. Oh, you can't do that. You need to focus on your business. You guys, I'm going to tell you, there are going to be amazing things that happen because of the trials and tribulations and trauma that you have been through. But you have to be authentic, and you have to not be ashamed, and you have to step into it and relax and release and say, I wonder how I could help other people. Because when you're broken and you're low and you're down and you're sad, just like I felt that Holy Spirit on Monday night, I could have done anything Monday night. I could have got out of my bed and walked on water. I swear to God, I knew that everything was going to be okay. No matter what happened, everything was going to be okay. And I have held on to that energy all week. Some people call it getting in the vortex, getting out of the vortex. You know, energy is everything. Everything is energy. So is prayer. So is faith. So is you believing. You know, yesterday was payday. And people who had zero money in overdrafts were probably like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And the minute their direct deposit came in, they changed. You guys, nothing changed in the world at all. It was your reaction to what has happened before when you didn't have money. It was your reaction to what has happened before when you didn't get your needs met. And within minutes, everything was okay. You're the same person in the same house with the same job, driving the same car with the same kids and the same hair and the same name and everything. It's just that around you, air happened. Air. It wasn't even paper. Air happened. A computer told you a different balance and you got better overnight. Like, money is like air. It's all around us. There's enough for everybody to be okay. You don't have to worry about it. It flows abundantly to people who feel good. And that's what we all need. We need to feel good. We need to be all love. We need to forgive everyone. I don't care what they said about me on the internet. I don't care what they took from me. I don't care what someone posted on Facebook about me or my partner or my husband or my kids. I don't care. At the end of this life, you guys, we have an audience of one. One. And if it's not going to matter 100 years from now, when my great grandkids look up their ancestry and they see that family photo of me and Dave on our 50th anniversary, I know I'm going to make it to that, right? I know I'm going to live a really long life. And one of these days, these grandkids and great grandkids and great 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 grandkids are going to look back and they're going to say, it was her that I keep hearing about. It was her. It was so amazing. You wouldn't believe it. And you know what, guys? You're going to have an ancestry. People are going to trace back to you. People are going to look back at you. And they're either going to say, she left it all out on the table. Or they're going to say, she was afraid. She didn't take a risk. She didn't step into her greatness. She didn't find her purpose. We don't really know much about her. She was just our grandma, our grandpa. You guys, let's do really big shit together. Like, I don't even care about cussing. I'm so passionate about this that I literally want to start a whole movement of people just normalizing the trauma, the tragedy, the distraction, the pain, the hurt, the abuse, all of it. It's okay. It's part of your story, and it's not right, and it's not fair, and it shouldn't have happened, and it never should happen again. But I want to tell you guys something. It's going to keep on happening because there's good and there's evil in the universe. And what somebody did to you that pissed you off, that hurt your feelings, that made you feel inferior, and you're trying to get even, I'm going to show them. They're going to miss me. They're going to be sorry when I pack my bags and walk out the door. They're going to be sorry. You know what, guys? They won't even care. They'll go be miserable somewhere else and they'll do it to somebody else. Like, they don't care, right? Do you know what everybody cares about? Themselves. It is a selfie mirror. People want to feel important. They don't care about you. People want to feel loved. They don't care about me or you. People want to feel needed. They do not care about me or you, and they will do anything they have to. Just like a little baby, good attention or bad attention, people will do anything they have to feel loved, significant, needed, like they're contributing. And the reality is we are the common denominator in all of these things around us. We can create a ripple effect. We can be the thermostat, not the thermometer that says, how's the economy? How's your family doing? No, we set the energy right now, today. And if anything, I'm telling you guys, you get on your knees, and if you don't even have the strength to pray, Cindy told me this week, she said there were times when she lost her son to suicide. She said, Barb, there were times that I could not even pray. I just said, help. She said, there were times all I could say is help me. And she said, I swear to God, that was enough. You don't have to be baptized. You don't have to be ordained. You don't have to be perfect. Yesterday morning, I hired an electrician. I haven't had my kitchen completely put back together for a year and 2 months. And I'm going to end with this. This electrician came in, and my daughter has someone that she cares about that was sentenced to prison in August, and it's been traumatic. And my electrician walked in, and he said, don't worry about these 3 little things tattooed by my eye. I did 7 years in the penitentiary for opiates. I had drugs. It changed me. I wasn't welcome in my mom's house. I wasn't welcome in my dad's house. Once I got out, they invited me back in their home, and I took care of them until the day they died. And you know what? It doesn't matter. And he said, Barb, what I love about you is that you don't judge and you don't care and you don't make assumptions. You just try to help people. And I mean, I'm letting this guy go in my house while I'm gone, work in my house. Like, you know, it's crazy, 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 crazy how we label people, how we judge people, how we react based on things that happened a long time ago that aren't even happening today. And we get that scribblehead. We're going to call it scribblehead. That's the shirt I have, scribblehead. And if you guys are feeling that and you need to get grounded and get back to where you can just surrender and feel good, I have some great books I can recommend. I know a Zoom that you can jump on if you're struggling with, you know, people in your family that have addiction. I have a great pastor. I mean, there are so many resources that are bigger than me because it's not me. And the whole time that I was praying Monday with Aunt Judy, I kept saying, you are so amazing. And she said, oh, it's not me. She said, I've just dedicated my whole life to this. And you guys, what are you dedicating your whole life to? I know for me, it's been helping people, empowering people, serving people, and loving people. And I'm not perfect, but you know what? Every single day, I try to get up, put one foot in front of the other, keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better. And I know that one day I am going to leave a legacy where people say, because of her, because of your mom, because of your grandma, ... That's the only thing I care about. And I figured it out this week. Aunt Judy uncovered it. That purpose was put in me during a very traumatic time when I was 12. So whatever you're pushing down, this traumatic thing that happened in your life, it happened for you to build muscle. You don't have to keep reliving it. I hadn't thought about those things. I had forgiven and surrendered it for years. It wasn't to be a setback. It was to set me up for a comeback. And whatever you're going through right now is not a setback. It's setting you up for the biggest comeback you've ever had. And we are going to do really, really, really big things. So I hope you guys feel it. I've had an amazing week. Oh yeah, it's been up, down, up, down, up, down. It's ebb and flow every day. I wake up, it's going to be amazing. Then I go, oh my gosh. You know, yesterday we got this great new bonus. Then we get this call. We have a big problem. Oh, it's not tracking right. We're going to have to push it out till Monday. Okay. Big blessings, big problems. Big blessings, big problems. Big blessings, big problems. It's like I'm breathing this, you know, in and out, in and out, in and out. But you know what, you guys? As long as you keep breathing, you're building muscle. And when you relax and you release instead of reacting and you just breathe and you find a way to feel good now, whatever verse, put on some music. My Dave's cousin said, if you can't pray out loud and you're that upset, just put on praise and worship music. All you got to do is put it on. And she said, in a minute, you're praying and you're singing and you feel different and you don't even know you're praying. And I tried it all week. I was like, why did I stop doing this every day? You know, you guys, it's simple. In an instant, your state of mind can change, but you have to want things to get better in order for things to get better. And some people just want to pick and nab and keep tearing off the scab. And it's somebody done me wrong song and it's not fair and they're dumb and they're stupid and they're idiots and they're mean and they're, or you're talking about someone else and they're not believers like you, or they don't like network marketing like you, or they didn't go to college like you. Guess what, guys? God is going to use them all the same. You're no better than anyone else. And the minute that you realize that and you just get in a non-judgment zone where you're all love and you feel good all the time, good, amazing things are going to happen for you. But you got to be selfless. It's not about you. Hasn't been about you for a really long time. We're here to witness and serve. And when you do that and you use your gifts that he gave you and you use your talents and you tithe and you give away and you try to help with your treasures and you witness, I'm telling you guys, that is the only thing that matters. And then you will truly feel good, better than you've ever felt the minute that you know what your purpose is. So I'm super excited about this. Could be a full day seminar, all crammed into 1 hour. I've got to jump off here. Our chief medical officer is doing an amazing training on our company page, and I can't miss it. So you guys have an amazing Saturday. God bless all of you, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday right here, same place, same time. No guts, no story. Have a great day, everybody.